When it comes down to video editing, you're struggling because you don't have a solid plan before you actually open whatever editing software that you're gonna use. But don't even trip, because I had the same exact problem. So for me, I like to keep things extremely simple. Every time I go into edit, I remember the 3 C's: cut, creative, and color. Literally, that's it. So for the first C is gonna be cut. Whenever you record a video, more times than not, you're gonna have a lot of mess up. You're gonna have a lot of dead space. It's gonna be a whole lot of uhs. It's gonna be a whole lot of ums. Because let's just be real here. Talking in front of the camera is kind of weird sometimes. So you're gonna have mess ups, and that's normal. But all that space that's unnecessary and unused, when you're editing, is going to take the longest time to get out. I can guarantee you're going to spend the most amount of time cutting up the footage in general than actually doing any creative stuff. And I had this same exact problem. I'll spend literally hours trying to cut up footage, trying to find all the dead space in the video, trying to find all the messes in the video, just to get it to a point where it's just clean and straight through. Like going from step 1 to step 2 literally took about 60% of my editing process, which is terrible. Because I already used all my energy on cutting up the footage. I literally have no energy to do anything else. I just want to be done with the video. So that's why I was so happy when Premiere Pro released their new feature, text to edit, because all the hours that we literally spent on doing it is just completely gone. And no, this is not a sponsor ad. This is my genuine feelings. That text to edit feature is going to save you so much time because it's going to automatically cut all the dead space. That is literally the first thing I do when I put my footage inside of Premiere Pro. Now the only thing I got to focus on is all the messages that I did as I was speaking. But you have all your transcripts in front of you, so it just makes it that much easier. So the key to the first step, as far as cutting up your footage, you have to make the process as easy as possible. Because the least amount of time you can spend in the cut process, the more time you can spend in the creative process, the things you actually like to do. So in Premiere Pro, not only do I use the text to edit feature, which makes my process a lot faster when editing, I also use keyboard shortcuts. Now the keyboard shortcuts are essential because basically, instead of manually having to slice every part with your mouse, you just use these 3 shortcuts, and it's going to basically split it down the middle with one key. It's going to delete everything to the left with another key, and it's going to delete everything to the right with another key. So for me, my keys are W is going to split this right down the middle, Q is going to split everything to the left of the playhead, and E is going to split everything to the right of the playhead. So for Premiere Pro, if you want to add that, you put the shortcut add edit as W, ripple trim next edit to playhead as E, and ripple trim previous edit to playhead as Q. And let me tell you, once I added these shortcuts to my workflow, it made my process a lot easier. I can literally cut down footage that's maybe 30 minutes long, 45 minutes long. One with text to edit, which is going to cut that down from 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. And then what I do is sift through my content and just use these shortcuts as I'm flowing through the timeline. It just makes my process a lot easier. It flows like butter, and it just makes sure I spend the least amount of time in that first phase, which is the cut phase. Any tool that you can utilize that's going to make your process easier, you want to use it. If you have a software that's going to cut out all the dead space for you so you don't have to do it manually, use that software if it's easier for you. For me, Premiere Pro is the easiest for me because I've been using it for 2 years now. So once I'm completely done with the footage as far as cutting it up, now I have a blank canvas. Now I can add the creative stuff to it, which is extremely beneficial for me. You watching this, you may have that energy to have no edits on your video and it still does very good, but some people just don't got it. If you got that aura, listen, use it, I'm telling you. Because if you can go from cut to finished, or cut, color, finish, you're good to go. Now in the creative phase, that's when I can get real freaky with it. And for the most part, I have to rewatch my footage because I very rarely script my videos anymore, and I just kind of go off the top of my head. I just know what I want to talk about, and I just talk about it in front of the camera. From there, that's when I rewatch it and think about B-roll I want to add to it. It may not be the best workflow for everybody, but for me, it works because I find that when I don't script my videos, it just sounds more natural. It sounds more like me. I got to do what works best for me. Whatever makes me feel the most natural, that's what I got to use. And having no script makes me feel the most natural because it makes me feel, I don't know, make me feel more authentic. So in that creative phase, I watch the whole video one more time and I start adding points where I want to add things. So I start putting markers in my footage and adding notes to say, hey, I want to add this here. Maybe I want to add an effect here. Maybe I want to add a transition here. And then once I got all my creative planned out, that's when I start adding it. Now, for the most part, when I think of creative stuff, it's stuff that I already done in the past. So I have a big template folder of previous edits and effects that I already did and a B-roll. So if I'm thinking about some footage I want to add in the clip, 9 times out of 10, I probably already recorded it. And if I didn't, I would just literally go record it and add it to my file bank and add it to my archive folder where basically all my B-roll footage is at. And I can use that for later use. Because when I step in front of the camera, I really don't know what I'm going to say. It just kind of flows out of me naturally. So on the back end, I just have to make sure I have the clips to match my words, if that makes sense. So for your first 5 to 7 edits, it may take you a little bit of a longer time, but I'm telling you, once you have your set templates, once you have a lot of B-roll footage that you can utilize, your workflow is going to be a lot faster because you already built this stuff up. You already built the reps in. You already know the lookouts you're going for. You already know. So when it's time, you're ready to go. So some advice on some B-roll tips, like whenever you're doing something randomly, like just literally record yourself, label it, and you're done. You may be in your car one day. If you record yourself in your car one day, you can just label that in-car clip. And you may have a video one day we're talking about, maybe you're doing like a story time, you're talking about a time where you're inside of a car, and now you have that clip already ready for you. You want to be prepared, and you want to make sure you save all of your edits that you've done in the past so that you can reuse it for later use. You don't want to have to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. You're just going to make your process a lot longer than it needs to be because you're not being efficient. The only reason I was able to edit those 5 videos in a day is because I had templates and because my cutting process is just so fast right now. Without that, it was going to be 3 to 5 days minimum for me to get those footage done. So don't be like me. Find a software that allows you to cut up footage the fastest. For me, I use Premiere Pro. Whenever you make an edit, save your edits so you have a template folder. So as you go, you just go back to your template folder and just put it in and just plug and play. And just start recording random B-roll footage because you never know when you might need it. My footage is never nothing new. It's the same old, same old. We follow a good system and we keep it pushing. Now, last step for me is color grading. Now, color grading is a little bit new for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm still deciding what my look is gonna be. If it's gonna be a faded look, if it's gonna be like a film look, if it's gonna be like a vibrant look. I don't know, but that's my last step. And for that, I basically go to DaVinci Resolve. So I export my timeline from Premiere Pro, put in DaVinci Resolve, I color grade it, make it look nice and sparkly. I export it and I'm done. It's real simple. I don't like to keep things too complicated because it's just gonna make too much. It says too many steps, it's just too much. Cut, creative, color, that's it. That's all you gotta worry about. So if you got 3 steps, you gotta figure out how to make at least 2 of them extremely fast. For me, it's cut and it's color. Those 2 are very, very fast. Now you can spend more time on creative. I'm not gonna lie to you. Since my last video, it kind of blew up. It got 22,000 views, which is just new for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had a lot of editors reach out, and I had one that really stood out, and I'm starting to work with him now. So the workflow now is gonna be a little bit different, but it's still the same. So my workflow now with an editor is I know what I'm good at. I know what I can do extremely fast, and I have to allow an editor to be an editor. So we still got the 3 C's. We got cut, creative, and color. I could be the type of person that gives the editor all these 3 tasks, but basically now his workflow is going to be stalled and prolonged, which is not going to let him bask in his greatness. So for that, I take out the 1st and the 3rd C. I take out the cut and the creative. So I still cut up my own footage because I know I can do it extremely fast while still maintaining that quality. And I also know I want to start learning how to color grade my footage, so I keep that task for me as well, just because it's something that I want to do. So now when I send the footage off to an editor, he's literally getting a blank canvas of footage that's already cut up and already colored. So guess what he has to focus on only? The creative. He has to focus on the things the editors love the most. Adding the special effects to the video, adding the transitions, adding all that stuff. I would not want an editor to worry about cutting up a footage, then making sure it's clean, then color grading it, then adding the creative stuff. Now his brain is not working to his full potential. I want him to focus on the only thing he likes to do best. He's focusing on one thing. He's focusing on 1 C, the creative. You know, and I'm not gonna lie to you. Once we get some money, get monetized, that's when I can also another C, which is gonna be cutting. So I have an editor just to cut up footage, and I have an editor just for creative work. And then you have one that's just color grading. So now you got an editor that's cutting up footage, you got an editor that's creative, who's just focused on special effects, and you got an editor that's just color grading. Now you're kind of building like a conveyor belt system where it's like, okay, if I have a YouTube channel, all I have to do is sit in front of the camera or vlog, record, send it off. It goes to that 1st C, cutting up the footage. Once that's done, it gets transferred over to that 2nd C, which is gonna be creative. Now, keep in mind, I can still send in more footage because I know my editor is not gonna get bogged down because that 1st C is now free. That cut editor who's just cutting up footage, he is now free. So I can send him another video. So now we got 2 videos in the pipeline. So now once one is done with creative work, he sends it off to color, cut, send it to creative. I send more footage to cut. It's a simple system. You keep it simple like that, you're gonna be good to go. You may be a creator who likes to do their own creative work, which is fine. Now you know what you gotta outsource. So if you like to do the creative work, what you can do is just record your own footage, send it to an editor to just cut. So now you're getting a blank canvas, and now all you have to do is focus on creative work. Most of the time when you focus on one thing, you can operate way better than when you focus on a bunch of different things because your energy is gonna be bogged down by just doing a lot of different tasks. If you focus on one task, you're gonna be good to go. I mean, that's really all I got for you today's video, man. This might have been a little bit of a longer one, but I hope it helps. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.